A couple of youngsters have impressed so far in camp, and can Tyson Barrie win a job? Hey everyone, welcome into Burning Questions. Rob Wong joined alongside by Postmedia Flames writer Wes Gilbertson. And Wes, it's only 3 preseason games, including a pair of split squad ones, but lots to touch on already, including Connor Zary, who scored 2 goals and added an assist in his preseason opener, 34 points in 63 games last year. What do you think is a realistic expectation for him heading into year number 2?
Well, for starters here, Rob, 3 games you said, but 3 wins. I mean, give the Flames some credit. I think a lot of people think it's going to be a long winter here in Calgary, but full marks for what they've shown so far. And obviously, we all know it doesn't matter, but a lot of encouraging performances through those 3 games, and one of them comes from Connor Zary the other night. And expectations are an interesting ask with him because coming into this season, what I didn't have on my bingo card was him starting on the left wing alongside Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman. And that's typically the shutdown line here in Calgary. You know, we all know Michael Backlund's a guy who's even sort of popped up on the fringes of Selke Trophy conversation in the past. Blake Coleman is well respected for his two-way game, even though he scored a career high 30 last year. And so, that had me sort of wondering, well, is Connor Zary, who I think can be a real offensive engine for the Flames, is he the best fit on that line? But again, it's early. I know we're gonna mention that multiple times, but it looked good Monday. Connor Zary finishes with a couple of goals, including one on the power play. Adds an assist in there, a rebound that really should have been his hat trick goal. And so, back to your question about expectations, coming off 34 points as a rookie, faded a little bit down the stretch in part due to an injury, but 50 points doesn't seem out of whack to me. He's a guy who's going to have to be a big part of the Flames' second power play. He's a guy who's going to probably see some audition time at center in the preseason, and we know that he has chemistry with Nazem Kadri, who's the Flames' best player. And so what the Flames really need, whatever the number looks like, they really need Connor Zary to avoid that sophomore slump, because he is a big piece offensively of what they're doing.
So we continue the conversation about how it's still early, but through the first couple of games here for Matt Coronato, he's made a statement. I mean, a goal and 2 assists in Sunday's game against Seattle, followed by a pair of goals the next night in Edmonton. We know it's early, as we just said, but do you think that there's something here? Does he look like a different player to you in these first couple of games?
He looks it, and I was at the Calgary game, so I only saw snippets of the Edmonton side of the split squad. But based on what I saw in Seattle, he is reaping the benefits so far of the work he did with Flames skating coach Danielle Fujita. He was never an awful skater, but he was a guy who needed a little bit more burst, and probably still does. But I think you're seeing the start of that. In fact, a very similar story to Connor Zary. He was a guy who had to just add a little bit of pace to take advantage of his offensive gifts. And so Matt Coronato's on the right road there. The big question with Matt Coronato, a guy that we know can put the puck in the net, a guy who was an AHL All-Star last year and really started to sort of get his feet wet at the NHL level towards the end of the season. We know he has offensive gifts, and the question is where he can fit in this lineup. The Flames, for all the talk of a rebuild, where they're deep is on the wings. Like, they have a lot of established NHL wingers, and if you go through the pairs right now, they have Andrei Kuzmenko and Yegor Sharangovich playing the wings with Nazem Kadri. Well, those are 2 of the Flames' best shooters. It's hard to imagine they fall out of the top 9. They've got, we talked about Connor Zary and Blake Coleman. Those are guys that will be fixtures, I think, in the top 9. And, then one of the prettiest goals we've seen in the preseason with Jonathan Huberdeau sliding the puck back to Anthony Mantha on the 2-on-1 the other night. And so I think the question, and what Flames fans want to talk about when you see them around the city, is where can Coronato fit? How can we get this young guy in the lineup? And credit to Coronato, because with everything he's done so far, I think they have to be having the same conversation in the coach's office.
Lastly, Tyson Barrie is on a PTO looking to make the team. Just 33 years old, which I guess is a little bit older in hockey land, but in real life, not so much. He clearly feels like he has some game left. What do you think his chances are of being on the opening night roster?
This is a tough one for me, and Tyson Barrie's fate, if that's the right way to put it, with the Flames is in a lot of ways, I think, tied to how Daniil Miramanov looks in training camp. And I say that because Miramanov is also a righty. Miramanov is also a guy that they think can run a power play at the NHL level, like the offensive parts of the game that are Tyson Barrie's greatest strengths. Daniil Miramanov, if he's going to be an NHL regular, that's what he's going to bring as well. He was really good in his first exhibition game playing alongside Mackenzie Weegar. And so I know that there's people at the Saddle Dome that think it's almost a lock that Tyson Barrie will start, or maybe it's better to say outside the Saddle Dome, there's people that think it's almost a lock, but I don't necessarily see it that way. And a lot of it's going to have to do with how their young defensemen perform in camp. Is Miramanov going to be a top 4 guy like he was at the end of last season? Hunter Brustevich is only 19 years old, but has had a standout camp. Is he closer to maybe not challenging for an NHL job, but being a potential call-up option than people realized as a first-year pro? If the answer to a few of those questions are yes, I'm not too sure where Barrie fits. Now, the flip side of that, I looked up this stat earlier in training camp and was surprised. Like, Tyson Barrie is one of 10 active NHL defensemen with 500-plus points. That shows you the stratosphere of offensive caliber defenseman that he's been in throughout his career. So, we talked however many times on this segment last season about why the power play stinks. Why can't they score on the power play? How do you get more out of the power play? Well, if the answer to that might be Tyson Barrie, that could be his key to staying in Calgary.
Yeah, there are, a lot of flaws to his game, but if there's one thing he can do, it is run a power play unit. So still lots of things to be decided in Flames camp. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Wes Gilbertson, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.